We're reviewing the minutes. Last
We have minutes. Hey, oh, listen to this.
Is Pam on there too?
Yes.
Hi Pam. We just started.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We just started.
I actually read this
We're waiting.
online yesterday. First time Susan sent them. If anyone has any changes, let me know. I can pass them on to Susan. I think Susan just replied to me, but Mark's parents had a health scare, so she's not going to be able to take minutes, but she said she'd take the minutes afterwards from the
That
video.
worked out really well.
Yeah.
I was going to go
that's
do the
smart.
minutes, and I'm like, oh, they appeared magically.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, I was supposed to take the minutes last time.
It's hard to participate and take the minutes. I mean, you gotta be writing and then the conversation gets beyond you.
Never mind that thinking part.
Yes, yes.
Oh, you can't think and write at the same time.
You can certainly
Oh,
not think
yeah,
of
I
it.
can't.
I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Never mind that.
Hmm?
Problem is sometimes I talk without thinking. That's a problem. So, motion to approve minutes?
Anyone to second? Quick, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, minutes approved as written. Only thing I have for new business to start off is I was given a flyer, for those who are interested, about a climate strike in Conway, New Hampshire, this coming Friday, the 6th, from 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the intersection of Route 16 and 153.
Mhm.
I believe is a local effort of that. What's the name of the Swedish or Norwegian girl who was that organization?
Greta Thunberg.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is one of those Fridays
Mhm.
here in Conway. Strike. Skip work. Anything else new from anyone? All right, on to Prospect Farm. I don't have anything new for Prospect Farm. There was a couple meetings ago, Susan had brought up a lot of those little signs are in various states of missing. I guess what, at this point, I say let's wait until spring to deal with that, but unless anyone has a different viewpoint on that.
Now, was someone going to be working on reconstituting what's on the signs, or did we decide that we're just going to replicate them?
I was probably me that was supposed to look for the electronic, I'm sure we have an electronic copy of what was on them,
Okay.
but I can double check that.
Is
Interested.
most of the signs just say cellar hole, and then there's the one at the orchard that has like a sentence or two, right? Is there anything else that has?
These are totally made up numbers, but I want to say
Some
there
were
was-
really hard. Cellar hole number 4.
Yeah. I want to say there was 3 that had 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Then the cellar hole ones.
I don't remember that. I just remember the one at the orchard.
I think we did one in the orchard, one at the viewpoint that looks south.
Yeah.
Because we had to go back and forth about the Wildcat versus.
Oh yeah,
Saco
yeah,
River
yeah,
Valley.
yeah.
And I think there might have been one other with some kind of interpretive language rather than just
Identification.
identification.
May I suggest that you contact the contractor for mowing a little earlier so that he knows.
Yes.
He gets busy, excuse me, at the end of the season, so if he can just know, if he's out there, well, I don't know if they're gonna call me this year, or, just let him know earlier on in the summer. That way he can just plan.
It's a great idea. We should do that.
The only other thing on Prospect Farm is that I know we had talked about having a follow-up on the forestry survey.
Yes.
And has that happened? Did we ever get that back?
We never got that back. Brian passed on a message that, no, is that true? We never got anything back to my knowledge.
Is that something we want to pursue, or are we going to follow up on, or are we just going to let it ride?
That was a year ago now.
It's been a year,
Yeah.
and I thought we had contacted the fellow who done the original report.
What information would you like to upgrade? The whole report or where it stands at this point?
At the time, I believe it was in the context of writing, stop me if I'm remembering this incorrectly, writing a management plan that was larger than a forestry plan. So, something that basically said the town of Jackson plans to do, A, B, C, D, E, F, G at Prospect Farm. The forest management plan was part of that, because it didn't, if I remember correctly, the forest management plan doesn't necessarily talk about how to manage for recreational.
Yeah,
or
specific
happens of them.
visitor uses and things like that.
It just talks about how to do the forest management in a way that wouldn't necessarily interfere with other things, but nothing for managing those other uses. So I believe that was the context of updating it. And we also, there had been kind of a recommended cutting schedule, which we,
Right.
generally, I don't think anyone's really pushing for anymore. So I don't know if we were looking for like a forest health update also.
We had talked about having him go back and take a look just to see whether it made sense while the roads were still good and like all the not infrastructure, but like while all the still up from the Forest Service, like getting in and out was easy. Whether it made sense to do another cut, right? Didn't we talk about that at one point?
We did.
Just having him look whether it was
And it had
worth
been
it.
looked at for what, number of years, right? It's like 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, probably at least that.
Which makes sense to have a review.
The thing about forestry, it's kind of a long term, so a year here and a year there.
Right, what does that make a difference? I'm just saying,
Right.
if we're gonna get at it,
Oh, no, the information should, I'll give him a call. I happen to know him pretty well, so I'm more than happy
to your point around giving people lots of lead time.
Call Don Johnson, revise/update management plan
Yes.
in parentheses.
Yep.
Yeah, it
For
doesn't need to get
recreation.
done until next year for sure,
Yes. Yeah. And that was the.
but there are some times when it's easier to walk around when there's snow on the ground too, so.
And I guess the specifics would be update, whatever updates seem to be necessary for the forest management plan, but also bringing in a more
The ground's
holistic overall management plan.
Well, I'll give him
Yeah.
a call, get it started. I'm sure he'll have questions.
Yep.
And,
Because I know, like, for example, the town has the agreement with Jackson Cross Country, but beyond, like, that legal agreement, which I know is updated every so often by the select board, I don't know that there's anything else that says, kind of big picture, we, the town, really enjoy cross-country skiing or hunting or whatever it is, and therefore will manage in this fashion to accomplish that goal or, provide these things for the townspeople. Great. Thank you for contacting me.
that's why I'm here.
Anything else?
Try to help.
All right, on to the falls. I'm trying to see if there's anything to talk about from last month.
Just one question, Dick, on that, not specifically about the falls themselves, but the bridge work that's gonna be done next year, has that been finalized, or do we have a better sense of what work they're gonna be doing on to support the bridge? One of their earlier proposals was to do a bunch of work along the river's bank, and I'm not sure if that's been finalized or not.
I remember the discussion about the abutments
Yeah,
and how they would appear. I think they want to, either they're going to price out true masonry, or there's a cast concrete stone-looking
Mhm.
facade that they could put on that, so that when you're looking upstream, it has a nice appearance. You know, that, we've pretty much told them that aesthetics are really important. I'm not sure that they're gonna reuse the trusses. Trusses are not structural now, they're just there.
Right, and they're in
for
bad
looks.
shape. Yeah.
And whether to try to work them in again, they'd have to be rehabbed, you know, sent out, buff, you know, sandblasted, and probably.
And they're rotting.
So it may not be in the
Those
project.
wooden trusses? Are those wooden trusses or metal?
Oh, they're metal, they're metal.
The
and
ones
they're-
that peel off into the water with all the green paint?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the underpinnings that are all rotty now.
And that's what's,
That's why the sidewalk's closed, because that is structural on that sidewalk, and the underpinnings are, you don't want to walk.
so anyway, aesthetics are certainly in the conversation. And, you know, I think the Conservation Commission can integrate with what will happen there and, you know, how it'll end up looking. They're working really hard on making it. One of my points was, I sat there one day in the summer, and how many people came up to the bridge to take a picture? You know, a group picture down the falls, you know. So we're maybe trying to do some kind of a kick out or just a different shape to make a little more space
Yeah, that was
on the
something
walkway.
we suggested.
walkway is
first
really
time through,
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is a nice view from the middle of the bridge.
And it needs to be in the middle, not on the side as they originally proposed, like, you're on the side, you can't see anything.
Yeah, you don't see Jacoral if you're on the side.
Because you want to look down into
Yeah, you want that, maybe somebody get married out there. I don't know.
Have they've already gotten their permit and everything for that, all the work they're doing, or are they in that process right now?
Permit, yes, it's the state funding, because we're 80/20.
Gotcha, yeah.
So the
bridge
state's gonna
aid.
pay 80% of it, so we really have to work with them. So it's three ways, the engineering firm,
Mhm.
us, and the state. And they take the document and say, okay, yes, this is acceptable, and it's within the financial parameters of, you know, what was proposed.
We're still on schedule for it? It's going to be done next year, what?
I don't know. Okay.
The other things I see from last month would be wanting more chips for the spring, which I never know when a good way, but well, I guess there is a good way. We just ask for them in the spring, or get them in the spring, which is there. And then at that point, we need a more durable, whatever, somebody standing there, poking people.
Cattle prods.
Mm-hmm. And I guess we have this winter. So I guess we should make our goal of next spring, say April, to have a sign for like the busy season.
Mhm.
So we've got the winter to work on it. Would you like some helpers to help you with your thought process before you bring stuff to us? Or?
Like a subcommittee?
Yes, like a subcommittee.
I don't know. Only if people are interested. I feel like sometimes it's harder to get the subcommittee to meet than it is just to show up and then talk about it here for a little while. So if people are like, yeah, like I would really like to get involved, then that, sure.
Sometimes the subcommittee helps too.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, we're glad to see what you propose.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy if there's interest, yes.
Definitely. What was the spot that you were saying you were kind of scoping for the sign?
Oh, that was just, we had talked about, it kind of seemed very natural to put the sign at the break in the split rail fence in kind of what I would call the main parking area.
Like where the little staircase goes down?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it struck me that originally that fence was put in as, it was considered a temporary fence.
Yeah.
And if the fence went away, then the sign would look maybe kind of weird there. And so then we had a discussion as to whether we thought it actually was a temporary fence, and we all decided, I think, maybe I'm speaking for everyone, and I shouldn't be, but that we like the fence, and that it should just be like an all-the-time fence.
The temporary part of the fence is until it rots away.
Yes. Yeah, I guess I had personally
Which will
envisioned
take
us seeing.
25 or 30 years, and then we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or somebody, Jeff will figure it out.
Yeah, a long time ago when we first very much talked about the fence, it was originally kicked around that it would be in for like, do you remember that's like a year or 2?
years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then we would remove it.
yeah,
Yeah.
your stuff would grow up,
Yeah.
and then you wouldn't need it.
But I think we all like it. I think it looks nice, and
Yes. I would agree. Obviously, with feedback from everyone else too.
I think yeah, it was just that it would look not. I mean, if the fence is there and the break's there, then it makes sense. But if the fence were to go away, like if we were like, oh, actually, it's going to go away in a year, then it might look kind of weird there. But in 30 years, it won't matter.
Yeah. I think wherever we put the sign, people will come.
Yeah.
So as long as it's a spot where people could stand and not get run over or cause erosion, I think I personally aim for wherever. Great. All right. So you'll keep working on that.
Again, happy to have people. If we want a subcommittee, I'm happy to do that. I just didn't know if that was.
Any interest? All right. I'll help if you want.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you feel like you need help, let me know.
Okay.
I will gladly.
But, sounds like you got it.
I really think that's anything else for the falls. Oh, wait. Board raising.
I ran into someone who had never been up there and walked the Mystery House loop and really liked it and said that the signs were still in good shape and that all the views, because I had been meaning to get back up there to look to see if we had to clip it all for any of the views, just to open them up a little bit, but they said it all looked great. The signs were still in great shape.
Great.
So
I haven't been there since the spring.
I have not been there, yeah. I've probably been there since last winter.
I think that was true. Okay. Although I guess I would point, I did notice there's a portrait of Mr. Gray for the first time, now that the table's over here.
How does he spell it?
That's a good man. They had 2 E's on the end. Alright, conservation easements. Sounds like there was a discussion last month. I don't know that I actually sent out the letters since it was my responsibility to do it. I was supposed to ask Susan to mail them, so I failed us. I assumed at this point we wouldn't send them, but I can if you'd like.
Well, we have to make some reassignments, I think, because I'll take on mine. Mine was Tilney's, but I think that Mark had an assignment.
That was the big question. We couldn't remember if Jeff needed to do one.
I don't think so. I forwarded the directions to access Spinif last night. If I remember correctly, Mark didn't have one. Because you have, I forget the family's name.
Rockwell.
The Rockwells, the Tilneys. Brian does, I forget the family's name, but they have the house up on Moody Farm Road with the land above and below it. That's 2 properties.
Oh, Highlands and Burgess.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yeah.
I have Lori Gabriel.
Yes, and you have Laura Gabriel, and then I do the Peppers. So I think those 4 are there's more than 4 parcels, but I think that's it. If you would like one, we could.
Yeah.
I think I just asked, if there was one that I was supposed to be doing, because we had talked about the letters and stuff like that, so I was just making sure that I wasn't missing something, but.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like 3 years ago, we really went through all the properties, and there was some confusion on which ones the town actually owned the easement and didn't. I think we've got that dialed
Nailed down now.
Yeah, so we have until the end of the month really to do those. Although, well, since we don't have an official accounting process, what we do for the town is, we'll walk them and make sure there's no development on the land. But as far as Spinif is concerned, they would like it to be done by the end of the year.
The only question I have is once we get this Tilney thing squared away, they're going to be requesting to have that additional 35 acres added to their current deal. Is the town ready to take that on?
Oh, yes. I think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that has to be approved by the select board.
That's great. So they'll just bring that into the existing.
Yeah, there'll be more places to walk, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. A little hillier than the other part of it.
Well, yeah, the new 35 acres is a lot more difficult terrain.
Yeah.
The other stuff you can see all from the road.
Yeah.
Oh, drive-by.
Well, yeah, it's like, yeah, no changes.
That's good.
There are no new wetlands applications. And the big one is the annual report, which is due by January 8th, I believe. I'm right around there. One part of it is if we want to have a picture of all 7 of us, all 7 of us need to come to the January meeting. So that's the question, do we want to have a January meeting? That would be the main, I don't know when the first falls this year versus the first Monday of the month. Can't see the calendar from over here anymore.
My wife was very impressed with the picture that's on
Yeah.
the website.
Oh, good.
She liked that. She said, "Is there one for the selectmen?" I said, "No, I don't think so."
Yeah, all right, so everyone's probably back by then for the first. Okay, so we'll have a January meeting, that's all right, and we'll, I can start working on the annual report. I really don't, I think it's the usual legit perks of the falls, easement monitoring.
Yes, we did our
This is a
little-
really good,
We did what, sorry?
We did our little planting at the falls, the island.
Yes,
Did you see that thing?
yes.
We put in a natural sod area,
Oh,
right down from the handicap parking.
yeah.
If you walk straight towards the falls, we put like a 10 by 10 foot area, and it looked really good.
covered over a lot of roots.
Yeah, so
It'd be
we're
nice to
doing
see if
more.
that,
I
yeah.
know.
Be nice to see if it makes it through the spring cycle.
Mm.
I would think if it made it through the summer, it should make it through the spring.
Well, I'm talking about the flooding.
I don't think the flooding gets up that high.
Mhm.
Hey,
It has been.
really?
Yeah.
Huh, okay,
Depends on how bad it is.
okay.
I might have to add a new section to our standard agenda. The Dundee Town Forest, which was that was 2 meetings ago, and I forget both of their names, but
Will.
yeah, Will from
JT Horn.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. JT basically said the timeline for that is they will know roughly next spring on the funding, whether if it will go through or not. And at that point, they'll start looking for town members who want to be involved in that board. So it was asked that we keep it in everyone's mind and even encourage people to go out and look at the land to start to be like a potential future informed member of that board for people who are interested, assuming it goes forward. But they won't start actively recruiting until the funding is.
Right.
Right, the funding is
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and that's what's gonna make it go.
Yeah.
But Jean Shaheen should help us out with that. I don't think she was here, but one of her representatives was here
Okay.
for a walkabout, looking at the land, actually physically.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that is great.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
and, out west, it's bigger areas, and, they talk about, 8,000 acres, but I think this project impacts as many people as anything out west. You get a lot of people that will really be affected by it, so,
Yeah.
it's,
Definitely.
hopefully it has a good chance.
Great.
I just had one additional thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody has ever used the trail at the end of Alpine. If you go up Tin Mountain, Tin Mine, you go to the end of Alpine,
Mm-hmm.
and it has no trespassing now?
Yeah.
And that trail's been
Barricaded
there for
off.
a lot more than 20 years. It accesses the Tin Mountain Trail. Dick, any thoughts on that? Because the person who purchased that property apparently has, blocked it off. And I think the town was involved at some point, had something to do with the turnaround or the
Mhm.
cul-de-sac there. I don't know if there's any conversations about,
Unless
Leave that open?
unless the easement went with a deed, it doesn't go.
but But it's still an adverse possession type of thing, it's an easement by prescription. You know, the public's been using it for more than 20 years, openly, continuously.
Right, if it's been a public right of way, whether it doesn't have to be for cars, I mean, it could be just a walking right of
Passage,
way.
yeah.
There is some historic precedent to that.
Didn't know if maybe that's something that might be worthwhile just to consult the town's attorney about, something like that.
That, and it's always worth just a nice letter of inquiry of why, you know.
I think there might be a history there. I've had an opportunity to see some of the minutes, and maybe other people on the board might have some knowledge of that.
Hmm.
There's some history there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else use that trail, or?
I always use the one off Thornhill Road. So I've never come in off Alpine. I use it from the driveway.
Right,
I can't think of who that guy is.
yep, I know what
Yeah.
you mean.
Had I known there was one at Alpine, I would have used it.
Yeah, that saved me like 20 minutes.
It's really nice.
I was always under the understanding that you couldn't get to the,
No, there was a trail. There's a definitely,
Yeah.
marked trail, and it's been there for a very long time.
It was a few months ago that he put those, or whoever it is, put those barricades up, and it actually looked like, I don't know, a month or two ago that someone had started to kind of cut a little thing around it. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
I have trails on my property, it doesn't mean that somebody has rights to it.
Mm.
Somebody may have used it at some time, it doesn't mean they have rights to it.
yeah, you're more the expert on that than I.
Well, just an adverse possession thing, if somebody's been using it for more than 20 years, openly, continuously, notoriously.
Right, or you could be trespassers.
In New Hampshire, there's a landowner limited liability statute, so
Yes.
we get to go back and forth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that, if you go onto somebody's property, the landowner doesn't have any liability if you fall and hurt yourself. Something, because the state's interest is in keeping land open without the state necessarily having to buy it or for people to use it. That's why when people want to post their land for no hunting, they have to post it.
Very specifically too,
Mhm.
like every
It's,
hour.
it's like every like 12 feet or something
I
like
know,
that. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is, right, we're one of the few states that has that of,
I'm sorry.
if my understanding is correct, we're one of the few states that has it, where it's written that, and that's posted, it's open.
And the new person may have no awareness of any of that.
Maybe not. But I didn't know if you might be able to, check with your board members or with the town's attorney or something like that about that. To see whether or not there is that possibility, if like a nice letter doesn't work. Just a thought. She's been there for a very long time.
Just like the Santa Claus thing.
What? I
Naughty
know
and
it
nice.
takes years.
If you
Yeah.
believe.
Wish list, yeah,
Naughty and nice.
yeah,
Start with nice.
yeah.
That reminds me of one other thing, right, the clock's over there now. Gosh, three years ago maybe, it was, Mike's mom came and talked about the ladies' path on the backside of the Tin Mountain property, which was a long-standing town right-of-way to Dundee, I believe.
Yep.
I'm just interested, I haven't looked
What
at
was
them.
it called, what path?
Was it called? I think it was called the Ladies' Path, but it basically was a public right of way from the current Tin Mountain conservation property down into Dundee.
I found
Along
that
the old
once.
road?
Right by the White House that's still there.
Is that where it came out?
Yeah.
Are there still blue signs from the cross-country skiing? They used to put up these blue squares.
Oh, really? To come
And I
in?
found it one time, and I went back, in the wintertime, because you don't want to get lost in there. And I couldn't find it when I tried to find it again, but it was definitely a road because you could see, because of the way stuff grew in.
Yeah.
If you looked up, you could see, where it went. It was kind of cool.
I was just wondering if that is on the land that would become part of the Dundee
You
Town
have to
Forest.
find it, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
I know that
Obviously,
that
they should deal with that in the spring when it happens, or if it happens.
I know that people are aware of that, and they've talked about incorporating that in.
Okay.
Because I talked to Will Abbott 2 weeks ago, and we were talking a little about the Dundee Town Forest, and that was something that he had mentioned.
Mhm.
There's also a lot of mountain bikers that are very interested inputting mountain bike trails on the Dundee
Yeah.
Community Forest. I know that I've fielded several questions from several people about it. From I can't think of the organization now. NIMBA, thank you.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like they were, like, there's a particular parcel where they encourage that more than others, but.
Mm.
Great. Anything else? All right. Anyone like to motion to adjourn the meeting? All right, all in favor of ending the meeting? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. See you next year.
On the 6th.
Yes, exactly.
So
Thank
you
you.
can